You're tired of the rehearsals. You spent countless hours in the shower or lying awake at 3 a.m. practicing the exact words you'll use to justify your life to people who have no intention of listening. You've tried to explain why you're quiet, why you're single, why you quit that good job, or why you've stopped showing up to the events that drain your soul. You thought that if you just found the right combination of words, the people around you would finally see the truth. You thought that if they understood your why, they would finally give you the permission to be yourself. But the permission never came, because the NPCs in your life aren't looking for an explanation, they're looking for a confession. They don't want to understand your path. They want to make sure you're still following theirs. The moment you stopped explaining was the moment you truly became free. Giving up the need to be understood isn't a sign of defeat. It's a sign of a rare level of sovereign intelligence. It is the realization that your truth is far too valuable to be handled by people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Today, we are going to look into the silent power of the person who has finally stopped talking, and why your refusal to defend your life is the ultimate power move in a world of performance. The first pillar of this intelligence is the recognition of the value gap. Most people treat their personal truth like a cheap product they have to sell to the crowd. They think that if the group doesn't buy their story, then the story isn't real. But you have discovered the value gap. You've realized that your depth is a frequency that most people simply don't have the equipment to hear. Explaining your soul to an NPC is like trying to describe a sunset to someone who is committed to keeping their eyes closed. It is a waste of your most precious resource, your energy. When you stop explaining, you are finally acknowledging your own worth. You are saying, my peace is more important than your opinion. The second trait is the death of the good child programming. In the USA and the UK, we are raised to be polite. We are taught that we owe the world an answer. We are conditioned to feel guilty if we don't have a valid reason for our boundaries. This is the script of the people pleaser, and it is the primary way the matrix keeps you small. By giving up the explanation, you are killing the part of you that still seeks a parent's approval in every stranger's eyes. You have reached a level of maturity where you realize that no is a complete sentence. You no longer need to build a legal case for your own happiness. You are the judge, the jury, and the sovereign ruler of your own life. The third pillar is the mastery of intellectual economy. An NPC spends their life in a state of friction. They argue in comment sections, they defend their choices to relatives who don't care, and they bleed energy trying to fix other people's perceptions of them. Sovereign intelligence is about economy. You've realized that you only have a certain amount of life force every day, and spending it on defense is a losing strategy. When you stop explaining, you reclaim that energy for your own growth. You stop leaking power. You become a closed loop of self-approval. This makes you incredibly efficient, and quite frankly, it makes you terrifying to those who still rely on the crowd for their identity. The fourth trait is the strength of the quiet boundary. There is a loud kind of boundary where you shout and make demands, and then there is the quiet boundary, the one where you simply disappear from spaces that don't fit you without a single word of justification. This is the trait of the observer. You don't need to tell people they've crossed a line. You just move the line. NPCs find this rude or mysterious, but it is actually the highest form of self-respect. You aren't trying to change them. You are simply protecting yourself. You've reached the point where you'd rather be the villain in someone else's story than a victim in your own. The fifth pillar is the sovereignty of inner validation. Most people are ghosts searching for a body. They only feel real when someone else acknowledges them. But by refusing to explain yourself, you are proving that you are already whole. You are standing in the center of your own reality, unfazed by the weather of other people's confusion. You understand that their lack of understanding is a them problem, not a you problem. This is a rare psychological state. It is the peace that comes when you finally realize that the only person who needs to live with your choices is you. So the next time someone asks you a question designed to put you on the defensive, the next time you feel that old itch to justify your existence, stop, breathe, and remember that you don't owe the simulation a single word. Your silence isn't a wall, it's a filter.
It keeps out the shallow and invites in the few who are intelligent enough to see you without a map. Let the world think what it wants. Let the NPCs whisper that you've changed. They're right, you have. You've stopped being a character in their play and started being the author of your own. The world is loud, but the most powerful things happen in the silence. I want to hear from the ones who have finally gone quiet. I want to hear about the specific moment you realized that explaining yourself was like shouting into a vacuum. Was it a family dinner? A breakup? A performance review at a job you hated? What was the last thing you ever tried to explain before you finally gave up? Leave a comment below. Let's talk about the relief of being misunderstood. We are building a community of the sovereign. I'll be reading. Stay rare, stay sovereign, stop explaining.